did Bibi Netanyahu speak to you directly to alert you that Israel was going to be striking Hamas sites in Qatar?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yeah,
How did you learn of it?
Same way you did.
Netanyahu said that he doesn't rule out targeting Hamas anywhere they are. You said that you don't want to see Qatar hit again. Are there any guarantees that Qatar...
Well, he won't be hitting in Qatar. As I say, I call it Qatar. You call it Qatar. You're actually more right, but actually you're allowed to go. The Emir said you can say it any way you want, but I've always thought of it as Qatar. I think it's a beautiful sound. And actually they've been a very good ally. And a lot of people don't know that. But he won't be hitting Qatar, but he will be maybe going after. Now, there was an article that I read in a newspaper just about an hour ago where Hamas said they're going to use the 20 hostages as human shields. They're going to bring them up from the dark tunnels, and they're going to put them in the line of fire so that if Israel goes forward, they're going to die. And I thought that was very terrible, and I put out a statement on that. You saw that.
Israel's decision to act against the Hamas terrorist leadership in Qatar was a wholly independent decision by Israel. It was a decision taken by me and our top security force chiefs. It was conducted by us. And we assume full responsibility for it because we believe that terrorists should not be given a haven, and the people who planned the worst massacre of the Jewish people since the Holocaust cannot have immunity. So we did it on our own, period. We're still getting the final reports. I'll tell you what the impact of the strike is. We sent a message to the terrorists. You can run, but you can't hide, and we'll get you.
Mr. Prime Minister, according to reports, not only did the IDF operation in Qatar fail, but classified IDF capabilities were also exposed in the attack last week. Do you regret it in retrospect?
Well, I don't accept the premise in your question, which is that Hamas, that the raid failed. Didn't fail because it had one central message, and we considered it before we launched it, and that is, you can hide, you can run, but we'll get you. You can, and this is important. I mean, terrorists they think they enjoy immunity. They'll do it again and again and again, and if you deny them that immunity, they'll think twice.
If we give them this research, they will do it again and again. Therefore, I do not accept the claim that the action in Qatar failed, because the main thing we wanted to clarify is the message that you do not receive immunity anywhere in the world. This was our policy, and it is our policy today.
Mr. Prime Minister, Robbie Grammer with the Wall Street Journal. Just to put a finer point on it, would you rule out further strikes on Hamas operatives in foreign sovereign countries in the region? And for Secretary Rubio, what's your message to close U.S. allies like the UK, which you plan to visit, on the vote at the United Nations to advance a Palestinian state, not just to nations overall, but some of our closest allies like the UK? Thanks.
The principle that terrorists should not have immunity wherever they are, wherever they may be, was not established by me. We had a massacre a few decades ago. It's called the Munich Massacre, in which PLO terrorists murdered our athletes to the Olympic Games. And my predecessor, Golda Meir, vowed that we shall track down these terrorists and get them one by one, which is what we proceeded to do in the leading European countries. And we did this one by one by one. I didn't hear a great cry of wrongdoing to these countries. Even though they weren't harboring terrorists, the terrorists were there. Okay, they didn't even harbor them, as is the case in other cases. The terrorists happened to be on that soil, and we acted, which is what democracies do, including the leading democracy, when they have the ability to target terrorists to threaten their civilians. So this is a principle we established. It's a principle we follow. It hasn't changed. I'm not going to talk about our tactical plans. I leave that to our military people in the field. But I have stated the cabinet's decision on 5 principles that I brought before it. And as Secretary Rubio correctly said, this war could end now. And it requires the first step for Hamas to lay down its arm, to release all our hostages. And I'll bring you the 3 other points that we put forward. One, the third is that Gaza should be demilitarized. Demilitarized is different from just laying down your arms, because you want to make sure that arms are not smuggled into Gaza and arms are not produced in Gaza. So demilitarization is the third point. Overriding Israeli security responsibility is the fourth point, to make sure that there's no resurgent terrorism, Hamas or from any other organization. And the last thing is to establish a transitional civilian government by people who do not advocate the destruction of Israel, do not educate their children to terrorism, finance terrorism, or launch terrorism. These are the 5 points. And we're committed to doing it. We're now, Secretary Rubio said, how do you achieve this? How do you achieve the release of the hostages and eliminating Hamas if you keep Hamas there? If they surrender, lay down their arms, then you can do the rest without battle. And at any point, if you can do something without battle, it's better. Having been in battle, I can tell you it's not a lot of fun. And to see your friends die next to you is not a lot of fun. Or maimed for life, that's not a lot of fun. So if we can achieve this by having a Hamas surrender, all the better.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.